It's that special time of year at Universal, where it's always Halloween. When legends collide and sweets get revenge, we go back into the fog as Lil Boo keeps watch. So join me as we explore Halloween Horror Nights 31. And hello, my friends, and welcome to Universal. We're here for HHN once again in Orlando. It's one of my favorite events of the year. And just did Stay and Scream in like the Central Park area. I queued up for the weekend, which it was like a little bit delayed. It only opens at 5:45, whereas I think some of the other ones over at the New York Stay and Scream open at like 5:15. So if you're trying to maximize your 1 day or 2 days, probably want to head over there. But anyway, I got through that the weekend. It was kind of what I've seen online. It's kind of what I expected. I really didn't get any good scares myself. The timing was off. There were some empty boo holes. I think something was up there, and I didn't get the experience a lot of people have been talking about. But then quickly after, with only like a 15 or 25 minute wait, I went into Legends Collide, the Universal Monsters house, and holy smokes, I got a triple scare I did not see coming from Dracula. At first it was, I think, Dracula, and then the Mummy, and then the Wolfman came out of nowhere, and it was just insane. And then there was another one where I actually yelled out expletives. I never do that. And it was just this one. I turned the corner and there was Dracula. Whew. I'm okay now. I'm okay. I feel like I'm at Horror Nights. I just caught that shift change for the chainsaws. It's starting to drizzle a little, just like it did on my very first day here last year. Unfortunately, with the rain, I think some of the scare actors have gone inside. So unfortunately, it looks like the scare actors got corralled. The rain is getting a little too hard for them, so I think we need to find our next house. And since we're already at the front of the park, I think that's going to be Hellblock Horror. Hopefully the rain lets up enough that we can see the Pumpkin Lord soon, as well as all the other scare actors that are up front here at the scare zone at the front of the park. But for now, Hellblock Horror. Got super fortunate here with the timing of the rain that the queue for Hellblock Horror is all indoors here. So for the next, 30 minutes, we'll be inside. All right, it is super loud in here, but Hellblock Horror was awesome. I saw one of the aliens from Invasion or from Lights Camera Action last year as well, and I throw them like the little hearts because I was like, oh my god, I recognize one of them. I didn't recognize any of the others, but it was a lot of fun. There were some really solid scares. I had fun with it. Maybe probably not the most popular one from what I've seen, but it was nice to get in from the rain. We're starting to get towards the peak of the evening, so unfortunately all the mazes, or houses rather, have some pretty long waits. So we're going to be exploring the scare zone that's in front of the trivia store, and that is Sweet Revenge. about that scare zone, and it lived up to it. The costumes are so good. I love that they have those floats in the middle. I wish it were like a little, there was more light in there so you could see more of that stuff at night. However, one of the scare actors got me super good. I saw some dummies doing that TikTok trend where people stand still. The scare actors hate that because they have to avoid you. And then the last thing is there were no still walkers, unfortunately, and I'm a little bummed about that, but because of the rain, they probably can't come out. Guys, if you look real closely, the vines spell 31. And we've come up to the next scare zone, Conjure the Dark. It just looks like nothing. Oh. I thought I was about to say nothing but fog, but hi! Oh my goodness. Those are not the witches I was expecting. Oh, and they have like a big stage here. Who is that? Are these the people that got conjured or something? Let's see what's going on up here.
My royal pillagers of darkness, be faithful unto me. Let the bloodletting commence! With magic right, my hellish hounds, through the power of this blood, forever bound. A night of harvest is upon us. Let us together bask in the glory of our customs. Drink, my devoted minions. Drink! I can feel it coursing through my veins. The power emanating from these tortured souls. It shall be our vitality!
So it's around 9 o'clock right now, and the houses are just at like a 60+ minute wait, all of them. So I decided it was time to come say hi to the Pumpkin Lord.
I extend my grabbing vines and grow Halloween! What do you think of this night, Hipkins? Terrifying, isn't it?
So it's been super packed, but things are kind of dying out because it's a Wednesday night. Spirits of the Coven was still at a 45-minute wait, which is kind of wild, but I got through it. I love the vibe that they went with. The whole speakeasy with witches type of thing is just perfection. Unfortunately, like the second half or so, or maybe final third, was feeling a little bit empty until that final room where you see the woman up on the pedestal, the witch up on the pedestal. Other than that, it felt a little empty in the final third, but the scares that were coming out beforehand were like, they were really good. I really like that, and I heard that they got voice lines not too long ago. I wonder what that was like to not have voice lines. I don't know. Either way, I think it's probably up there, maybe beating out, I'm already doing internal rankings, I apologize. You know what? Let's skip that. found some light here in Springfield. You can hear the chainsaws are still going. So Ghoulish was fun. It was cute. It was kind of what I expected with the overall like traditional Halloween type of theme that the event has this year. I really think that it's tough to top the first Marathon of Mayhem because they had so much good music from the different IPs that they had that year. And then the following year, it was still fun, but it was missing something. But I hate to always determine things by like IP and familiarity. I would say for an original show, this was pretty good. I just did not expect the, Disturbia kind of remixed version of that. But whoever got to do the mixing on the Blinding Lights song really must have got all the stems and just had a field day with those. Like, I am jealous of that audio engineer. I am just getting out of Descendants of Destruction. I don't know why this one feels like a lower rated house because holy smokes, the detail in there. For it being like the subway and all that stuff was really cool. Sure, there were some kind of like really simple costumes with like the Mad Max, like, wear football padding type of stuff and like mask, whatever. But towards the end, it just goes off the rails. It's so impressive. I really liked it. There was a double scare at the end that just absolutely nailed it. It got me, the timing. I don't know how they do that. They just must be in a flow or something like that. But anyway, I rate it kind of highly. I don't know. And we're back, and I've just done Bugs Eaten Alive, which, a reminder, they are not instructions. The title of the house are not instructions. Do not eat anything that's hanging from the ceiling, like people have either jokingly said on Twitter or not. I don't know why that was a thing, but there's some really fun things in here. I love the design. The storyline is really cool. I love seeing the woman at the beginning, also at the end. Just like, I'm glad she got some plot development there. However, my biggest issue with it was that there were some dark hallways that you had to go through that clearly slowed everything up. I don't mind getting a little bit closer to the person in front of me, but bumping into them was not a good time. It just slowed down everything. It's no wonder that there were complete halts in the line while, it should be fairly continuous. I don't know why they would make such a decision because it was pitch black and impossible to see until the people ahead of you opened up the curtains and you could actually see for a little bit, like your feet, and know where you're going. Other than that, the Bugs house, it's really great. The cockroach was amazing. There's this giant grub. I don't know. Other than those dark hallways, I give it a big thumbs up. Coming by this area now, I sure would have liked to try that MAGA-covered hot dog, but the lines and the crowds have never let up, and we're currently at midnight. Also worth mentioning is Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire, which is, I guess, Nightmare Fuel's sequel from last year. Which, if you saw, you kind of know what to expect. A lot of skin, a lot of pyro, and some pretty cool acts. Just got out of Blumhouse, so it combines Freaky with the Black Phone, and they're in very distinct parts. I watched them recently just to kind of refresh my memory on these, and I feel like parts of them were done really well. As for the rest of it, though, it kind of suffers from same monsteritis. You're seeing the same character over and over. There were really good scares, really good setups. The most horrible one is when you're in a tight hallway, and it feels like you could pop out of anywhere. But then going back to Freaky, I feel like they set it up really well up until the end. It's hard to convey the story there. Unless you know going in what happens in that plot, you're not really going to be able to appreciate what's happening. So I think it's tough, a really tough thing to convey, especially because it feels like more of a comedy than anything else. So like you don't actually go through the entire ending of the story or anything. So for me, it was kind of tough to follow, even knowing the story, like kind of where we were along in the plot. But regardless, it still was a lot of fun with good scares. It just felt like it, one, the same monsteritis, and two, tough to follow, especially if you haven't seen the movies. So if you come through these, definitely watch them. I have no idea how loud it is, but Fiesta de Chupacabras was insane with the level of detail. The puppets were incredible. And honestly, just overall, one of my favorites of the night, just as a complete house. Like, the scares were there, the level of detail and storytelling was there, and those puppets just put it over the top for me. I absolutely loved it. So I've just gotten through Halloween, and I don't know if it was the people that I was surrounded by or just the house itself, but the scares were just non-stop. You know how I was talking about same monsteritis earlier? Somehow it works here. and I don't understand why. And oh my gosh, there's some stuff with mirrors that really got me good. Oh my gosh, I can understand now why the wait time was like super high for this the entire night. Just like you are walking through that story and he's just, you feel like he's at every, you're gonna turn a corner and he's there every time. I don't know how they managed it. There was just suspense throughout. And again, like I said, the group that I was with was just screaming at the top of their lungs, and it just made for a wonderful experience, a wonderful run. All right, so Dead Man's Pier. Wow. I thought and was very nervous that that was going to be an overhyped house, and it exceeded it. The sets were gorgeous. The whole vibe of the place, the whole mood was amazing. There was some other stuff in there that I don't even want to spoil for you because it was that cool. If you want to be spoiled, I'm sure there's a POV somewhere that you can find for it, but it was just immaculate. I can see why everybody is so behind it. Not only was the entirety of it beautiful, it had amazing scares, really good double scare somewhere in the middle, and then just like this big scenes. I've never seen one that just felt grand in that sense. And this is a follow-up to a scare zone, believe it or not. The only thing that I could really like nag it on is that it's not clear exactly what the storyline is for this one. And I've heard a couple of different rumors. If you guys know, please let me know, because I wish I knew exactly what the storyline was, because I've got conflicting things going on. And the other thing you'll probably notice is behind me all the lights are on. That's because the park is already emptying out and closed. That's it, it's over. They do have some of the lightning effects on, but that's pretty much it. So as soon as I finished Dead Man's Pier, I hoofed it and hustled on over to Legends Collide and Weekends to see if I could do that one more time. I got kind of corralled a little bit further down the line here, but okay, so I hoofed it, I hustled on over. It was like 1:30 when I got out of Dead Man's Pier, and I went all the way over to Legends Collide, and believe it or not, somehow nobody was in this at the end of the night. It was by far my favorite of the evening. I got through it all by myself. So I did a solo run on Legends Collide, which was wild. It was wonderful and awful and terrifying all at once. Like, the whole thing was just, I got every scare basically, especially when they realized that I was the only one coming through. There's a lot of scares where they can come out this way, and then you go around this little thing, and then they can come around this way, and I learned where all of those are now, so yeah. Whew. It was crazy. It was nutty. But I did get to celebrate at the end with the mummy. He was the winner of that one. And I love the story. It's very mummy predominant, and I think that's because we're supposed to start in Egypt, basically, where that amulet gets discovered, right? And my understanding is that the mummy, even though we don't see him like in the movie with the fez and all that stuff, as his more human self, is purely just bandaged up mummy this whole time. But we see that the amulet is there, the mummy gets transported over to London, and around the same time, Dracula is showing up, and he's made aware of the amulet, and then somewhere along the way, the Wolfman is too. I feel like I got more Mummy and Dracula than Wolfman in my first run, and then this time it was a pretty even balance on my second run. And the thing is, all of my impressions of these are on my first run because it's my first night. I'll have more runs later, but you lucky locals, you get to like really feel these out, and that's something that I'm forever jealous about. But then lastly, I wanted to try the Weekend another time. I feel like the vibe was off the first time I did it because they opened late, and I think it had to do with something going on in the house. So I felt like I had to give it another shot. So at, I don't know, 150, I got in line and I did it again. And really, honestly, I feel like it's more just everybody's having a good time. There really weren't crazy scares or anything like that. There were a couple of jump scares or whatever you want to call them when they just pop out and go back in. But there weren't really double scares or anything more elaborated. There were rooms that are like dedicated to just the vibing. Yeah, there were rooms that were literally everybody was just dancing through, and that was it. It was just party vibes all around. So I feel like now, you know how we usually each year have like a fun house? This one is more like the party house, if we can call it that. And so for me, it's not too appealing, but clearly with the 75 or 90 minute wait that it had, it's appealing for other people. And that's awesome. It's got, and come to think of it, just like every house this year, I don't think there's any weak one, and that's saying a lot. But anyway, guys, so I hope you enjoyed following along. I know it was a lot of me talking, and unfortunately, until the day I get media access, I'm not going to be able to record here in Orlando inside the mazes. But going through the scare zones was amazing. Loved all of them. They're really strong this year. And like I said before, all the mazes, I can't think of like one that felt weaker out of the whole. I think all of them have something to appreciate. And my personal favorite was Legends Collide, but I'm partial to the Universal Monsters. I really loved Bride of Frankenstein last year. So anyway, all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and I hope you go make your own adventure. Bye.